This scary true story started in 2014. Derek and Maria Broaddus thought they had found their forever home. A stunning 6-bedroom house at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. The picturesque suburban town was ranked one of the safest in the United States, known for its charming neighborhoods and excellent schools. The $1.3 million house was a stretch for their budget, but it felt worth it, a perfect place to raise their 3 young children. But before they could even move in, their dream home turned into a nightmare, one that would haunt them for years. Just 3 days after closing on the house, Derek was doing some light renovations when he decided to check the mail. Among the usual junk and bills was a plain white envelope with no return address. It was addressed simply to the new owner. Curious, he opened it. The letter began innocently enough, welcoming the family to the neighborhood, but as Derek read on, the tone shifted to something sinister. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? The letter went on to mention the Broaddus family by name, even referencing their 3 children, whom the watcher referred to as young blood. I see that you've already brought the children. Have you found all the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. The letter ended ominously, with the watcher claiming they were watching the house and would be monitoring the family closely. Derek rushed home and showed the letter to Maria. The couple was horrified and called the Westfield police immediately. A detective arrived and carefully read the letter, but there were few clues to go on. The envelope had no return address, and the letter was typed with no fingerprints. The detective advised the family to keep the letter confidential and not to tell neighbors, as anyone could be a suspect. Despite their fear, the Broadduses tried to remain optimistic. They decided to continue the renovations, hoping it was a prank. But just days later, another letter arrived, this one even more unnerving. The second letter addressed Derek and Maria by name and referenced specific details about their family's activities and plans for the house. You have changed it and made it so fancy. It cries for the past and what it used to be when I roamed its halls. The 1960s were a good time for 657 Boulevard, when I ran from room to room, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. The house is crying for you to move. It will never be the same. The watcher again fixated on their children, writing, "Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me plan better." At this point, Derek and Maria were terrified. They stopped bringing their children to the house and hired private investigators to look into their neighbors. They even reached out to the previous owners, the Woods family, and learned something chilling. The Woods had received a letter from the watcher just before they moved out. The Woods, however, dismissed it as a prank and never thought much of it. This revelation deeply unsettled the Broadduses. Whoever the watcher was, they had been fixated on 657 Boulevard for years. The letters kept coming, each more menacing than the last. In one, the watcher mocked the family's attempts to find them. Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away, but makes you feel sick day after day after day after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Loved ones suddenly die. Planes and cars and bicycles crash. Bones break. The family hired a team of investigators, including former FBI agents, but no concrete leads emerged. They analyzed the letters for DNA and handwriting, but the results were inconclusive. Meanwhile, life in Westfield grew tense. Rumors spread and the Broaddusses became pariahs in the community. Some neighbors accused them of fabricating the story to back out of the purchase, but the family adamantly denied this. Unable to bear the stress, Derek and Maria decided not to move into the house. They listed it for sale, but the chilling stories scared off potential buyers. They even tried renting it out, but many tenants backed out when they learned of the Watcher. In 2016, the family proposed tearing down the house and splitting the lot into 2 properties, but the town planning board rejected the idea, citing zoning laws. Finally, in 2019, they sold the house at a significant loss. $959,000, nearly $400,000 less than they had paid. The buyer's identity was kept private, and they have never reported receiving letters. The identity of the Watcher remains a mystery. Over the years, theories have abounded. Was it a disgruntled neighbor angry about renovations? A former resident obsessed with the house? Or someone playing a cruel, elaborate prank? Some even speculated that Derek and Maria concocted the story themselves, though they vehemently denied it. The story has since become a modern urban legend, inspiring documentaries, podcasts, and even a Netflix series. But for the Broaddus family, it was a nightmare that turned their dream home into a prison of fear. To this day, the chilling letters and the enigma of the Watcher continue to captivate and terrify anyone who hears the story of 657 Boulevard.